Man, I was always out there grinding because I knew I was weak. I knew I wasn't good enough. I knew I was born at the bottom. And when you know you're at the bottom, you start looking for those little pieces of knowledge, man. Those snapshots. Everyone's out there taking pictures on their phones like, oh, look at the sunset, but I'm taking snapshots in my mind. I see something that's gonna make me better, something that's gonna make me harder, and I lock it in. Boom. Because I know I'll need that later. Most people are out there running or lifting weights, looking around, thinking, oh, this is nice, look at the view. I don't care about no damn view. My body's screaming, my mind's breaking down. But that's where I'm different. I'm not out there sightseeing. I'm in the lab, my mental lab. When I get home, I'm not forgetting it. I go back to those moments. Every single day, after I'm done running, after I put in the work, after I've been studying the grind, I'm back home. And I'm writing that shit down. No fancy tools, just a scratch piece of paper. I'm putting down every thought, every lesson. While I'm running, I'm working it out in my head. I'm breaking it down layer by layer. I'm asking myself, why did this happen? What led up to this? I'm in my own school, in my own class, teaching myself. When I get home, I write it all out. And that's how I build my playbook. People know what I've done. I've been out there in the real world, outside the military. I've made money. I've crushed the hardest races on this planet. I've broken records. I've pushed through it all. And I've done it all. So when those dark days come, I'm ready. You got to work your ass off. I'm not talking about some half-ass effort. You got to grind like your life depends on it, because guess what? It does. And yeah, maybe you won't live to see old age, but what if you do? And you spent your prime years not giving it everything. If you put in the work now, the back half of your life is gold. That's why I don't take days off. Not from the gym, not from running, not from life. The first thing every morning, I get after it. You got to build confidence every day. You're either gaining it or losing it. There's no middle ground. You want to know how to build that confidence? Look in the mirror. If you don't like what you see, that's on you. You wake up, you're fat, out of shape, feeling like crap, that's all you. So you know what you do? You get up and you get after it. Burn those calories, get the blood pumping, wake up the mind. Every damn day I run. Every damn day I grind. Most people, they're looking for a finish line. They want to be done. I don't have a finish line. I am always saying this, I don't stop when I'm tired, I stop when I'm done. When I was younger, I was just drifting, man. No goals, no direction. But here's the truth, it ain't about goals. It's about a damn to-do list. That's it, to-do list. If you're out here without one, you're just gonna sit back, get soft, and fade away. Your mind is the most lethal weapon you got. And if you don't control that weapon, if you don't tell it where you're going and how the hell you're gonna get there, you're done. Game over. You gotta take charge and direct that mind, or it's gonna direct you to nowhere. A real fulfilled human doesn't need to tear anyone down. They lift people up. So when someone's coming at you, calling you names, trying to drag you down, that's their issue, not yours. They're dealing with some deep-rooted bullshit. When you quit, your mind says, we're done, it doesn't grow. It doesn't adapt. But when you say, hell no, this sucks, I'm drowning, I'm broken, but I ain't quitting, your mind wakes up and says, damn, he's not leaving. We gotta expand, we gotta grow. We gotta figure this shit out. And suddenly those dark corners of your brain, the parts you've never tapped into, they come alive. They start working. When you're deep in the grind, suffering, and you say, I'm not stopping, you're pushing your mind to a whole new level. And then guess what? That level becomes your new normal. You want to get anything done in life? You got to work your ass off. You can't remember that paragraph? Read it again. Still can't remember it? Read it again. Still struggling? Write that shit down. You keep grinding it out till you get it. And guess what? You will get it. I can't swim. Hell, I'm negatively buoyant. But guess what? Go back again. Still can't swim. Go back again and again. And you know what happens? Your mind starts saying, all right, we got to figure this out. This dude ain't stopping. That's how it works. Your mind always has the tactical advantage. Why? Because it knows you. It knows your fears, your insecurities, all that shit you try to hide. We lean on others too damn much to get us through hard times. We look around for someone to save us. But what you need to do is build yourself up from the inside. Total accountability. This ain't about being selfish. It's about becoming the best version of yourself. So when you hear me say this, I want you to realize it ain't about running 205 miles. It's about seeing how far you can push yourself. The biggest trophy I got ain't that damn book. It's what's inside it. I don't care if it sells a single copy. What matters is the hell I went through to write it. That's the real prize, the blood, the sweat, the suffering. I want people to get that. You got to embrace the struggle. The bigger the battle, the deeper the peace. The harder the suffering, the sweeter the victory. And look, a lot of this ain't your fault why you do what you do, why you feel the way you feel. But let me tell you something, no one's coming to save your ass. You got to go back to where it all started, wherever that place is for you, and have the guts to face it head on, to fix what broke you. That's what I did. I said, all right, it's time to go back and face this shit. I know how to self-motivate. Most people don't. They think motivation is putting on some headphones, cranking up the music, getting pumped up. But what happens when the headphones come off, man, it's just you and your thoughts. That's the real game. That's where the battle is won or lost. People ask me if I listen to music when I run. Hell no. I want you to go home at night after you've beaten the hell out of me, and I smile right in your face. I want you to feel worse than I do. You're going home to a warm bed, but I'm still out there grinding, suffering for another 100 hours. I want you to think about that, knowing I'm comfortable being uncomfortable. That's where I live. I've got fears. I'm up here and life made me this way. I stuttered. I had trouble reading and writing. I was fat, insecure. But we can't live like that. We can't live in fear, can't live under judgment, can't be worried about what people are saying about us right now. You got to cut that out. Your diet, your workouts, your learning, your sleep, start neglecting one, and the whole damn thing starts falling apart. That stuff will haunt you. You start realizing, damn, I haven't been eating right. I haven't been sleeping right. That's when things start unraveling. I'm super aware of my eating, my sleeping, my disciplines. When I drift too far from that, it's a hard stop. What pisses me off the most is seeing people die with untapped potential because they think someone else is better or born with more than they got. You got to grind until you find your power. And when you feel like you've lost it, you got to find a way to build that shit back up again and again. That's possible. When I was fat, lazy, insecure, failing in school, failing in life, people tried to give me advice, tried to help me. But I flipped the switch. I got in shape. I became a student. I became one of the hardest working men out there. And guess what? They still had things to say. When I was fat, they talked. When I lost the weight, they talked. People don't want to see you better than them because it makes them feel like shit about themselves. When you're fat and lazy, you make them feel okay. But when you come from the bottom and decide to rise up, it shakes them. There's enough for everybody to eat. But you got to work your ass off for it. Are you willing to do that? I catch myself in the airport, on the plane, writing stuff down, reminding myself, don't forget where you came from. Slow the hell down and remember what got you here. I tell myself, go back to that dirty mirror in that $7 a night place you used to live in. That's where you grew. That's where you found out who the hell you are. I'm always telling myself, get back to your roots. I ain't saying go back to the misery, but don't ever forget where you came from. When you start blowing up, when you start becoming somebody, don't let the noise drown out who you are. People think they can take days off, give themselves choices like they've earned it. It's Christmas. It's New Year's. It's my birthday time. Doesn't give a damn that it's Christmas or your birthday. You give yourself too many options, and that's when you start falling apart. Time's ticking away, and you're still sitting there lost in your own head. So here's the deal, man. Stop following the crowd. They might take days off, but you can't afford to, man. I started finding self-esteem the day I stopped giving a damn about what people thought. That's when I stopped being afraid of being judged. Stop thinking, what if they make fun of me the moment I dropped that baggage? My life flipped. I saw working out as a way to build calluses on my mind, to toughen up that weak victim mentality I had. Training was never about getting jacked or looking good. It was always about getting mentally hard. It looked brutal, people waking up early, grinding every day. I thought, that's what I got to do not to get better, not to get stronger, but to find myself. Everything that looked hard, that looked brutal, I knew I had to tackle it. I hated waking up early, so I made a list of all the shit I didn't want to do, and then I did it. That's how I found myself. You got to start getting up at 5 in the morning and running until it hurts. I started seeing myself different from the average person. I knew I had something others didn't, and that was the mindset to push through pain and discomfort. Through grinding every damn day, I built a work ethic that became my self-esteem. I always connected working out with struggle. My whole life was a struggle. And for the longest time, I ran from it. Then I realized, hell no, I gotta face that struggle head on. I gotta be strong for this shit. I ain't training for trophies or accolades. I don't give a damn about that. I'm training for life. I'm training to go the distance. I learned on my own that through discipline, through self-discipline, through constant repetition of what you hate, that's the key, man. You gotta do what you don't want to do over and over again. That's how you build mental armor. You gotta armor up your mind. Your mind has to know, this is what we do. We suffer every day, man. We do what sucks every day. So when the real suffering comes, you're ready for it. That's how I came up. I started living in discomfort. And now that's my way of life. When it gets hard, I lean into that shit. The harder it gets, the more I push back. People don't want to talk about that. They don't want to hear it. But let's get real. If you're fat, you're fat. I was fat. I talk about it because I've been there. I know what it feels like when you roll your fat ass out of bed and all you want is some damn cinnamon buns and a chocolate milkshake. I've been there. I know what it is. I know exactly what it is. But here's the thing, I can't want it more than you do. Too many people want the easy way out. Well, I'm here to tell you, there is no easy way, man. So they build this story for themselves. It's okay, just take it easy. But the narrative should be, you need to work harder. You need to discipline your mind. You need to build your mindset. Stop feeding people this BS that it's okay. It's not okay. It's unacceptable. I'm not gifted, I'm just driven. That's the difference. That's when you go from being motivated to being driven to being obsessed. You got to learn how to face it every damn day. Most people forget how badass they are when times get hard, but it's all on you. No one's coming to save you. The self yourself, that's the key. You got to say, I'm going to make myself good enough. I'm driven. I'm obsessed. I'm here to prove people wrong. I'm a warrior. I'm here today. I'll be here tomorrow. And I'm going to be here the next day. You got to toughen up, get thicker skin, and become more than just a human being. Don't be afraid of that reflection in the mirror. That's the only enemy you need to defeat. Once you beat that person, you're unstoppable. You're going to have to suffer, man. That's how you get somewhere in life. Motivation is garbage, man. It's fleeting based on how you feel that day. I had to take a real stand. I had to face myself in that mirror. I had to accept the pain of looking at who I was. The lonely, insecure, depressed man. I had become a man who'd do anything just to have a friend. And I thought, that's pathetic. So I flipped the script. I got to a place where all that pain and suffering people put on me, all that hell week madness, I took that shit and I flipped it. I took their soul. My job, what drove me, was to make you go home at night after you gave me everything you got. And I still smiled in your face. I wanted you to feel worse than I did, thinking, damn, this dude is comfortable being uncomfortable. You got to break open those calluses in your mind. You got to rip open those scars and let the blood flow. You got to let all that toxic shit flow out of your brain. All that stuff you've trapped inside needs to be released. And yeah, like you said, you did this to yourself. Sure, people may have helped you get there, but it's on you now. That's a painful truth, but it's the truth. All those people from high school or wherever, they don't define you. They don't know how you're going to turn out. So you got to make sure you're rewriting your book every damn day. Every single day. This ain't just talk. This is how you got to live. Man, these are the conversations I have with myself every single day. I say it everywhere I go. The most important conversation you'll ever have is the one you have with yourself. That's the truth. I live in the quiet. I shut out all the noise, cut out the bullshit, and I only keep the people in my life who need to be there. If you don't need to be in my life, guess what? You're out. I'm not here to collect friends, and I'm definitely not about that noise. I'm about one thing. Are you trying to go somewhere? You want to grind and push yourself? Jump on board. If not, I don't want to hear all your damn excuses. I don't have time for whining, for complaining. You got problems? Good. You also got the solution. I'm about moving forward. Period. Man, I'm big on visualization. I'm big on self-talk. I'm constantly asking myself, where do you want to be in life? What's the next mountain to climb? And I make a plan to get there, and I don't deviate from that plan. Once I started talking to myself the right way, blocking out the noise, everything changed. I went from that kid who thought he was dumb, insecure, stuttered when he spoke, to a guy who can do anything he puts his mind to. Why? Because I took control of my mind. And guess what? I don't care. A lot of people say they don't care, but they're lying, man. When you truly don't care, when you don't care about what people think, how they look at you, how they judge you, that's when you become dangerous. I'm not talking about some I don't care attitude. I'm talking about a level where other people's opinions don't mean shit. Growing up, I was scared to tell people I wanted to join the military. I was afraid of what my black friends would think. Why you want to do that, man? I kept my mouth shut because I let other people shackle my mind. That's the worst thing you can do, let someone else chain you up. If I'm not giving you all of me, then why the hell am I here? How are you going to learn anything from me if I'm sugarcoating it? People get offended when you don't dance around their feelings. But guess what? You ain't going to learn anything if I'm always trying to find the right word, so I don't hurt your thin skin. Toughen up. It's okay to hear the truth. It's okay to feel uncomfortable. What are you going to do now? They don't own your life, you do. So flip that script, flip it on them and say, Roger that. Now I'm going to use this fuel and you're going to read about me years from now. Some people are born with natural gifts. I wasn't. Don't forget that. I was the kid who couldn't read as a junior in high school, who was hiding out, scared of every man on this planet. I was beaten down so bad that I was terrified of everyone. But people forget that I had to reinvent myself. I had to build myself from scratch. I spent countless nights alone, broken, not just physically broken, mentally, broken spiritually. I had no toughness, no strength, no power. But I sat my ass down and said, I'm going to reinvent myself. I was fat, nasty, out of shape, and miserable. And I built a vision in my mind of the person I wanted to be, a human being who didn't exist yet. I created that person in my mind and said, that's who I want to be. I want to be the guy who could do exactly what I'm doing today. I built him from nothing. That's the grind. That's the fight. And that's how you get it done. If you weren't born that mentally tough man, guess what? You can be made. Man, woman, it doesn't matter who the hell you are, it can be done. But to become that person, you got to be ready to say no to the bullshit. You got to be ready to turn down book deals, turn down the easy road. You got to be who the hell you are every damn day and not give a single shit about anyone who tells you you're not doing things the right way. Look, man, everything I didn't want to do is exactly what got me where I am today. It's about what you say to yourself, but you got to back that up with work. When I was getting beat down physically, mentally, spiritually, when life was trying to break me, I had to say to myself, you can't hurt me. There's that haunting voice in the back of your head. Every one of us has it, but most people just ignore it. I lived with that voice for years. It was always there. And deep down, I knew I could pull off whatever I wanted. I knew I had it in me, but I was scared of the work. I didn't have the brains. I wasn't some naturally gifted athlete. I wasn't born with any of that. So I knew to even stand a chance against these guys, to even get in the ring, I have to put in the work. The kind of work that makes most people run and hide. And that's exactly what I did for a long time. I put it off. And that shit haunted me. That's what I figured out. Everybody wants that comfort zone. They want that pat on the back, that good job bullshit. Nobody wants to hear what they're doing wrong. Nobody wants the cold, hard truth. And that's why most people don't accomplish a damn thing in this life. So I flipped the script. I became that big, badass man that you don't want to meet in a dark alley. I became the hardest critic on myself. I became my own worst nightmare. And that's what changed everything. The harder it got, the more I pushed back. And when you push back like that, people don't know how to handle it. They don't want to talk about it. People don't like to talk about what's real. They don't like to get uncomfortable. Look, if you're fat, you're fat. I was fat. That's why I talk about it. It was hard as hell every damn day to get my fat ass out of bed. I know what it feels like to roll out of bed and crave a cinnamon bun and a chocolate milkshake. I know that feeling. I've lived that feeling. But here's the thing, I can't want it more than you do. Too many people just want the easy way. And I'm telling you right now, it doesn't exist. So what do? They start building this narrative that it's okay that you're fine where you are. But that's bullshit. The narrative should be, you need to work harder. You need to get your mind right. We got to stop telling people it's okay when it's not okay. If you're not willing to do the work, if you're not willing to help yourself, that is not okay. No more excuses. No more it's okay, it's time to get after it. Where I'm at today, I call it everlasting peace. But let me tell you something, greatness ain't running 200 miles or doing 4,000 push-ups or even being a SEAL. Greatness is whatever the hell you dreamed up in your own mind. You got to see it first. You got to create that vision. That's where it all starts. You paint that picture in your mind, and that's when it's time to go to war. Once you see it, you got to ask yourself, how am I going to get there now? That's when I come into play. We all got greatness inside of us, man. I don't care if you think you're dumb. I don't care if you think you're fat. I don't care if you are fat. I don't care if you've been bullied or you just got back from Afghanistan with no legs. You hear me? It doesn't matter. We all got that greatness inside, but you got to find the courage to tap into it. You got to put those Beats headphones on, drown out the noise, and dig deep. That's what sets you apart from everybody else. That's the real shit right there. See, here's the deal. When you quit, your mind goes, we're done, and that's it. No growth, no expansion, nothing. But when you hit that wall, when everything's telling you to stop and you say, nah, I'm not going anywhere, that's when the magic happens. When you're drowning, suffering, broken, and still say, I'm staying right here, your mind has no choice but to adapt. It says this badass man isn't leaving, so we got to figure it out. And that's when the compartments in your brain you never used before start to light up. That's when you engage parts of yourself you didn't even know were there. But you don't get there by sitting in some cushy chair, drinking nice water, and talking about what you want to do. That's not how it works. The 40% rule kicks in when you're in the trenches in suffer mode and you refuse to back down. That's when your brain goes into overdrive. It starts to operate on a level it's never been on before. And guess what? Eventually that becomes a new standard. Even the hardest among us forget how badass we are sometimes. When you're deep in the shit, going through it, you forget all the hell you've already walked through. That's why I got the cookie jar. It's my reminder that I've been here before and I came out the other side. You got to reach into that mental cookie jar and remind yourself, pull out one of those cookies like, all right, I've been through 3 hell weeks and I survived 2 of them. I've dealt with my mom's soon-to-be husband getting murdered. I watched a little kid's head get run over. All that pain, all that suffering, I got through it alone. I learned how to control my adrenals. You know that fight or flight response when your body wants to shut down or run. I mastered that. I learned how to get myself fired up in the middle of chaos when everyone else is breaking. I figured out how to find strength in the misery. That's where you got to go. When things get dark, when the pain hits, dig deep and remind yourself who the hell you are. Stay hard. When everyone's suffering, when everyone's sitting there all poopy pants crying and their mentality shot to hell, that's when I shine, man. I saw all that misery, all that pain, and I was like, hell yeah, this is my zone. I started feeding off that energy, turning all that darkness into drive. That's when I became a man. Because when people see that Goggins is still going, when they see me grinding, smiling through that suffering, they start thinking, Roger that. Let me get my shit together and go too. I realize if you can hold on just a little bit longer, if you can find that strength when everyone else is breaking, you'll end up with a crew of people following you, getting stronger with you. But here's the thing, you got to be open-minded to the possibility that you can do this. Once you shut your mind down and say it's impossible, it's over. That's why I get lit up, man. If you're in a fight, you can't just stand there, you got to attack. Keep attacking. Make the enemy understand that you're not going to give up. You got to break the soul of whatever the hell is in front of you. That's what I realized. I wasn't breaking anything's soul. I wasn't going hard enough. So I started coming up with ways to break the soul of anything, whether it's a human, an object, a challenge, whatever's standing in my way. If you keep attacking, if you're relentless, nothing wants to stand in front of you. Nothing. And you got to take great pleasure in that. Take great pleasure in knowing that nobody wants to be where you're at. No one wants to suffer like you're suffering. That has to light a fire inside you, a weird burning passion that most people don't understand. When you're in the worst environment possible, the darkest, most brutal situation, and everyone around you is thinking, God, I hope this ends soon, that's when time slows down. That's when you see the looks on their faces, begging for it to be over. And I started playing mind games, man. I was like, these fools are judging us, thinking, let's see how Goggins is holding up. I was tougher than him when I went through this, and I'm like, all right, you want to judge me? Watch this. They want to tell you how you're supposed to feel. Hell no. Don't let those losers tell you how you should feel. This isn't over. This is just day one, hour one, man. So stay hard. So there I was looking at my boat crew, and I could see they were ready to go to war. I got in their faces and told them straight up, we're going to take these man's souls. I wasn't playing around. When they had us doing some basic shit that was tripping other guys up, I could see it in the instructor's eyes. Man, it was like we'd ripped their souls right out of their chests. I turned to my crew and said, guess what? We're living rent-free in their heads now. We own that space. They're going to be lying in bed tonight, thinking about us. We started feeding off that energy, man. It only takes 1 second to break someone. And once you do that, all their energy is yours. That's all you need to keep going. You ever looked in a man's eyes during a fight and seen the moment he's done? That moment where he's thinking, oh God, I don't want to go another round. That's when you feel unstoppable. Like you could fight forever. That's what taking souls is all about. But you've got to have the will, the heart, the balls to push through when you're completely tapped out, when you've got nothing left to give, and then you give even more. I used to walk around putting everyone else on a damn pedestal. I thought everyone was better than me. I was scared to show who I really was because I thought people would judge me and I'd feel even worse about myself. But I had to remind myself of the strength, the power that's inside me. It's all about remembering how badass you really are when life's got you down, because we all forget sometimes. When shit gets tough, we lose sight of who we are. I've always been big on visualization, always. But back in the day, it was all negative, man. I'd be stuck in that woe is me mindset, building this fake reality in my head. We do that all the time. We can have a great life, but we focus on the one thing we don't have, and that becomes our reality. We ignore all the good shit and obsess over the one piece of clothing we couldn't buy or some nonsense like that. I was the king of that shit, always zeroing in on the bad stuff. But over here in the same reality, there was something beautiful. Even though I came from nothing, I had a path to greatness if I just put in the work. But I was living in the filth, stuck in my own head. We all carry around this list in our heads, man. A list of all the shit we're too scared to face because it makes us feel like we're not good enough. I had a long ass list of insecurities and fears. My dad beating the hell out of me, learning disabilities, stuttering, living in a $7 a month shithole. I had all kinds of demons and they made me scared of everything. But you know what? Those demons are the reason I became who I am. You got to face them, man. Own that space in your mind and stop letting them control you. So I designed this program for myself when I finally heard that voice. You know the one. We all got it. That voice in your head that never shuts up, always whispering bullshit, reminding you of all the things you're scared of. Mine kept hammering me. You're afraid of this shit, man. You're terrified of that long ass laundry list of fears because your dad beat you, because this happened. Because that happened, I wasn't facing any of it, even though most of it wasn't even my fault. But here's the thing, they're mine now, my demons to own and conquer. The moment it hit me was when I realized that if I ever wanted to be a tough guy, and believe me, I wanted that more than anything. I had to face that list. I saw myself as weak, man, and I knew the only way to harden up was to dive straight into that darkness, to confront every damn thing that scared me. Over there on that list was the person I needed to become. Because if I kept doing the same comfortable shit, I'd stay the same lying, insecure, fearful person, living that fake comfortable life. So I designed an uncomfortable world for myself, one that would destroy David Goggins and create Goggins. In that brutal world, Goggins was born. There's David Goggins, and then there's Goggins. I built Goggins in that medieval battlefield in my mind. To survive there, you have to live in the moment over and over again. And when I say live in the moment, I mean total focus. We live in a world that's noisy as hell, man. Constant distractions, everything moving 100 miles an hour. But when I'm sitting here, my mind is right here. It's not drifting to bullshit. Like I need to order more books, I'm sold out, I gotta do this, I gotta do that. No, that's not how visualization works. You have to drown out all the noise, and that's tough. But your vision has to be crystal clear, not some blurry, flickering TV screen. You gotta see it like it's real. Take that mental snapshot, lock it in, and replay it 1,000,000 times in your head. For me, that snapshot was hitting 4,021 pull-ups because the record was 4,020. I visualized that shit over and over nonstop. But here's the thing, visualizing success is just the start. The real fun begins when you walk the path to get there. I had to grind through 4,020 pull-ups to reach that 4,021. When I hit 2,500, my hands started tearing apart. I knew that was coming. So I visualized how I'd handle that pain. Then you start thinking about everything nutrition, the way your body's gonna react. You visualize every detail because you have to simulate it in your mind 1,000,000 times. But I couldn't just knock out 4,020 pull-ups to practice. So I walked in, grabbed the chalk, and replayed the scene over and over and over again until it was burned into my brain. That's how you become Goggins, man. You embrace the discomfort, face your fears, and live in that moment until it's yours. When I realized I had to keep that vision locked in my head for 17 hours straight, man, it was a game changer. It took me 17 hours to break that pull-up record. For every one of those 17 hours, while I used to be loud in your face wherever I went, I changed gears. I put on these headphones. Now, I never listened to music, but this time I made an exception. I played one song, going the distance on repeat for 17 hours. It's 2 minutes and 13 seconds long. And I let that beat drill into my mind the whole time. I tuned everything else out and went straight into the zone. With that song driving me, I visualized every single rep. I pictured exactly where my hands needed to be, feeling the placement before I even gripped the bar. I didn't ignore the little pains, man. My hands started getting sweaty. That's a signal. I was tuned into every sensation. When my hands got slick, I knew they were about to rip. So I wiped them off, stayed aware, stayed locked in. Every little detail mattered because I was completely in the moment, all because I had visualized everything down to the last breath. I believe in God big time. I've had this voice in my head since I was a kid, and that voice has been my guide. That voice trained me, pushed me, drove me to where I am today. If you don't believe you're here for a reason, your life will feel like hell, man. I started to look at everything I went through as part of God's plan, as Him putting me through the fire for a purpose. And now when I see how many lives I've changed because of the hell I endured, I know that purpose is real. There's serious power in that realization. So as I kept grinding on this journey, I stopped playing the victim. No more woe is me, God, why me? Instead, I flipped it. This was the perfect training ground. God knew exactly what He was doing. He put me through every possible challenge I could tell the story that needed to be told. But here's the truth, man, I was all surface level. I wasn't digging deep into the foundation of my soul. My soul was broken, but I knew I could fix it. The problem was I was scared to go back. I was afraid to face the demons that had been haunting me my whole life. So what do? You start lying to yourself and everyone else. You create a persona of who you want to be, but it's not who you really are. That's when I realized, man, I'm never going to get over the hurdle if I keep living on the surface. I had to go deep, way down into the sewer of my mind and face every single demon. That's the hardest thing you can do. It's tough because we all love social media, right? We all want people to see us as we want to be seen. That's why we post all the beautiful shit, the highlight reel. But the real growth happens when you strip all that away, when you confront the darkness and dig into the ugly truth. That's where you find out who you really are. And that's where Goggins was forged. That feel-good, surface-level crap that's not going to fix you. I want to be proud of the man I've become, not the weak, insecure liar I used to be. I want to know that if I died today, I could look at myself and say, yeah, I'm proud of who I am. And you know what? It's okay to be happy sometimes. It's okay to admit I'm screwed up, and that's where the work starts. First, you got to face the truth, man. Who are you really? Get brutally accountable and ask yourself, what's the real truth about me? You got to dig into that dark place in your mind and figure it out. It might take months, it might take years. But until you know who you really are and what your purpose is, you're just spinning your wheels. Right now, I'm on a mission to find more of myself. And the only way I can do that is by silencing the noise. The world is getting louder, faster, and if you don't block it out, you're going to lose sight of who the hell you are. You have to go dark, man. You have to quiet your mind. Get away from people, from the distractions, from the bullshit. We all love being around others, talking, partying, but sometimes you got to isolate yourself. It's okay to be a lone man. It's okay to be unhappy. It's okay to admit I'm screwed up because that's where the truth lives. So who are you? What's the truth about you? You have to confront those dark chambers in your mind that you shut off for so long. Open them up. Face that demon. Get in there and say, what's up, man? Explore that dark place in your mind. It might take months, it might take years, but you need to figure out your purpose, who you want to be in this life. And once you do, everything changes. People are quick to accept that they're not good enough. I wasn't made to do this. I can't be LeBron James, and sure, maybe you can't be him. But let me tell you something, we're all capable of way more than we think we are. Pure guts, willpower, and the grind, that's where the magic happens. We gravitate towards those who tell us it's okay to slack off, to take a day off, to grab some pizza and watch the game. We like that comfort, that easy out. But comfort doesn't build you. It doesn't change you. Facing the hard truth, embracing the grind, and pushing through, that's where real growth happens. You've got to be willing to go there, to that dark place, and confront who you really are. That's how you become something more. That's how you earn your pride. My whole life, I've been my own hardest critic. That's why my friends can't stand me, man. Because I'm relentless with myself. And if I'm tough on me, I don't give a shit about what anyone else thinks. I don't need their approval. I'm good. People ask, why do you still do this? Why push so hard? It's simple. You're a leader now. You sit in this chair with thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands looking up to you. That's why you keep going. Why do you get up at 3, 4, 5, 6 in the morning? It's not just about you anymore. It's about setting the standard, showing others what it means to grind. People always ask, what drives you now? The answer is, it's no longer about you. You're comfortable. You're good. But that's not enough. You have to shift your mindset to understand that God gave you everything you wanted. And now it's payback time. You've got to start paying the bills for the people who look up to you. That's why you suffer now, why you get up at 6 in the morning, to set the example. We all want to be the best among the average, but how do you stay hungry all the time? The trick is, once you accomplish something, you don't sit back and relax like most guys do. They graduate buds, they hit a milestone, and then they get comfortable. And then they wonder, why am I losing my edge? Why do I feel weak? It's because once they hit the top of the mountain, they think they're done. I'm good, they tell themselves. But that's the start of the downfall. Once you reach the top, you've got to build another mountain to climb. That's where mediocrity creeps in. There are a lot of people stuck in mediocrity with a nice resume, hit it big once, made some money, and now they're coasting. But now they're just average. These people hit the gym, they get jacked, they run fast, but all they're doing is coding over their weakness. All they're building is a bigger, stronger quitter because their mind hasn't gotten any tougher. So when the next challenge hits, they're shocked. I'm so fit. What's wrong? The problem is their mind is still soft. Life didn't just beat me up and knock me the hell out. I was down and out in the 12th round of a 15-round heavyweight fight. But while everyone else thought I was done, while the challenger turned his back on me, I was already getting up. I found a way to dig deep, win those last 3 rounds, and take the fight. That's what Can't Hurt, man, is all about. I was hurt, man, broken down, defeated, but I kept getting up. Those first 26 years of my life were nothing but a battle, and every day since has been the same. But the mindset of Can't Hurt, man, is this: no matter what's in front of you, you face it, confront it, overcome it, and then move forward. My father, the bullies, my learning disabilities, the stuttering, the endless failures, all those things tried to take me out. But I didn't let them. I had to either overcome them or let them overcome me. And through that brutal journey, I started to transform. I began creating this new version of myself, a version that people started seeing as some kind of superhero. But deep down, I knew the real story. And I knew one day I'd have to share it. The question was, did I have the guts? It's tempting to stay where you're comfortable, where people think you're great. But the only way to truly help others is to show them that you came from the same hell they're in. I had to go back and say, this is where I come from, and where I come from is straight up hell. We love to put labels on people: superhuman, 1% or crazy. We do it to distance ourselves from their achievements, to give ourselves an excuse not to even try. We think they're special. I'm not. But let me tell you something, there are no special people with special minds. You can build that mind on your own. That's why I wrote my book the way I did, so people could see, damn, he came from this. He overcame all of that. I strip away all the labels, even crazy and superhuman. But here's the thing, you'll read my book. Get through the first few chapters, and by the time you're on chapter 9 or 10, you've already forgotten the hell I went through in chapters 1, 2, and 3. That's how fast the mind wants to soften you up. To tell you, this guy's just nuts. He's superhuman. Your mind is already trying to guide you down that path of least resistance while you're still reading the damn book. That's how powerful the mind is. So you have to constantly remind yourself to go back to chapters 1, 2, and 3. Keep those in your mind. You can do this too, but it starts with looking at your own life. I'm training my mind, body, and spirit to be one, so I can handle whatever life throws at me. Because life doesn't hold back, man. It throws everything it's got at you. And if you're not physically and mentally prepared, you're going to crumble. And when you crumble, you're good for nobody. When we're suffering, we forget how tough we really are. But that's the test, man. Suffering is the true test of life. And where I'm at today, I've learned that true greatness isn't about running 200 miles, doing 4,000 pull-ups, or being a SEAL. Greatness is whatever you dreamed up in your mind. You've got to see it first. Create that vision. Then that's when I come into play. Once you've got that vision, the question becomes, how am I going to get there? And that's where the real work begins. Man, we're all built with greatness inside of us. I don't care if you think you're dumb, if you're fat, if you've been bullied, or if you just got back from war without your legs or arms. It doesn't matter where you're starting from. We all have that fire, that potential. But here's the thing, you've got to have the guts to dig it out. You've got to have the courage to throw in those headphones, block out all the bullshit from this world, and find what sets you apart from everybody else. That's what it's all about. Too many people go to the grave with untapped potential because they've convinced themselves someone else is better, someone else was born with better tools. But I'm telling you, that's just a weak ass excuse. You need to be willing to grind yourself down to nothing to powder. And when you're nothing but that fine dust, you've got to find a way to build yourself back up over and over again. It's possible, but here's the catch, it's going to be hard as hell. And the harder it gets, the more you want to quit, the more your mind pushes back. But quitting ain't the answer. People don't want to talk about it, but I will. If you're fat, admit it. I was fat. I'm not here to sugarcoat shit. I know what it feels like to drag your fat ass out of bed every damn day. I know what it's like when everything in you just wants to give up. But here's the deal, I can't want it more than you. You've got to want it for yourself, but so many people just want the easy way out. Sorry, man, but life doesn't work that way. What happens is people start building this narrative, this story in their heads that says it's okay. But that's the wrong narrative. The truth is you need to work harder. You need to discipline your mind better. We need to stop telling people it's okay to not help themselves. It's not okay. It's not acceptable. And if you accept that bullshit, you'll never be anything. People love to create a story about themselves that makes it okay to stay where they are. It's the ultimate get out of jail free card. And now the world is set up with so many of these damn cards where everything is okay and no one can say a damn thing about it. But I'm not here to give you a free pass. I want to take you down the road I walked, the hell I lived through, so you can see where I came from. I'm a storyteller, and I'm going to take your ass with me. I'm going to drag you down to paradise. And let me tell you, that place was anything but paradise. The house I grew up in Buffalo, New York, where I got my ass beat every day, yeah, that was on Paradise Road. Let me take you there. You want to learn from me? Then come with me. I'm not just going to tell you a nice story. I'm going to show you the pain, the struggle, and the fight. We're all scared to dive into the shit that made us who we are. The stuff that makes us unique. We're all jacked up in some way, but that's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of me. I'm jacked up, but I figured out my own process to get unjacked up. And let me tell you, man, my path isn't going to look like yours. You might go from point A to point B, but I might have to hit point C, D, E, and F just to get to where you are. And that's okay because I'm still getting there. It's just a little harder. That's how I train my brain. And that's how you've got to train yours. I think differently, man. I'm wired differently. My idea of being a part-time savage was running 50 miles a week. But here's what separates me from the rest. I hit a point where I'm running. And I tell myself, all right, 10 miles today. But when I hit that 10 miles, that inner demon I unleash every morning comes creeping back, whispering, nah, man, not today. There's someone out there doing 12, 13, 14 miles. You're not stopping now. You're going to do another one. You're going to push beyond because when you meet that guy, you better be ready. So I keep running. I'm not happy. People look at me and say, look at his eyes, man. There's something in those eyes, demons, unhappiness. And you know what? They're right. I'm not happy. I'm not fulfilled. But they're missing the point. What they see is a focused, driven man who found something deep within himself, a buried treasure most people never dig up. My journey is different. That's why I don't judge others. I'm judged all the time by my look, by my eyes, by not smiling or laughing. But let me tell you something. It's easy to be happy. It's easy to smile when life is good. But those good times, they don't need training. They come naturally. What I'm trying to show you is the other side, the misery, the struggle. That's the part we all want to skip, to cover up with a nice blanket and pretend everything's okay. But that's not how it works. You've got to go into that hellhole of life and fix it. That's what I'm here for. You've got to go to war with yourself before you can ever find peace. And this war is not about smiles and happiness. It's about a hard, brutal journey that will push you far beyond what's comfortable. You'll be tested, you'll be in pain, and you'll be uncomfortable as hell. I start running, and by mile 40, I'm feeling pretty good. But when I hit mile 70, That's when the real battle begins. It was the worst pain of my life. I sat down in a blue lawn chair at mile 70, and those Ritz crackers I've been eating since mile 20, they turned into cement in my mouth. I wasn't hydrating right. Didn't know what the hell I was doing. I was choking down my rest because I couldn't eat anything else, barely had any water, and I felt like I was dying. But that's the point. It's not supposed to be easy. The pain, the suffering, that's where you find out what you're really made of. And that's what separates the average from the savage. So there I was sitting in this blue lawn chair watching all these runners go around in circles. I was dizzy, lightheaded, hadn't taken a piss in 12 hours. I pushed through 70 miles in that time, which ain't bad. But now I'm seeing 3 versions of my ex-wife standing there. The second my body stopped moving, my mind started to unravel. And there I was needing to hit the bathroom, but it was just 20 feet away. And I couldn't even get my ass up. Look, man, we all have to start from zero when it comes to pain. It's a reset. If you don't go back, if you don't face it, that pain will own you. Everyone's got something that eats at them, something they're insecure about. And when you're in physical pain, even if you're not consciously thinking about that mental baggage, your mind is digging it up. All those dark corners of your life start screaming at you. Most of the time we quit. It's not because the pain's too much, it's because we don't have the mental tools to push through it to the other side. My whole thing is this: you've got to ask yourself why you're doing it in the first place. What makes so many people quit during SEAL training or any kind of special ops training isn't the physical stuff, it's the mind. It's easy to sit on your couch in a 72-degree house watching the Navy SEAL show on Discovery, thinking, I can do that, sure. You can say that when you're comfortable. But finding the real you, the one that's scared, that craves comfort, that loves a world that pats you on the back and tells you what you want to hear, that's where the real challenge begins. This is where it all starts, man. People say, I'm good. I don't need this, but the truth is, you're not doing this for you anymore. Right now, you're a leader. You're sitting in that chair with thousands, maybe hundreds of thousands of people looking up to you. That's why you do it. Why do you get up at 3, 4, 5, 6 in the morning? Because you're setting the example for others to follow. People always ask, what drives you now? Well, it ain't about you anymore. You've hit that point where it's not about your comfort, your satisfaction. It's about setting the standard. Man, you've got to flip your mindset. God gave you everything you wanted. Now it's time to pay the bill. You're not just suffering for yourself anymore. When people ask, why do you get up at 6 in the morning? It's so you can show everyone else how it's done. We're out here trying to be the best among average people. Folks ask, how do you stay hungry all the time? It's because when I accomplish something, I don't sit back like most guys who graduate buds or finish some other big thing. They get comfortable. Then they wonder, why am I getting weak? Why am I losing my edge? It's because when you reach the top of the mountain, most people just want to relax. But here's the truth: once you hit the top, you've got to start building the next mountain. Complacency is where people fall. You're either climbing or you're falling. There's no standing still. That right there, that's mediocrity, plain and simple. There's a lot of folks out there sitting in mediocrity with a shiny resume, but they're just one-hit wonders. They struck gold once, cashed in big, and now they're coasting. They've gone soft. They might hit the gym, get big, get jacked, maybe even run fast, but all they're doing is covering up the weakness in their mind. All they're building is a bigger, stronger quitter. The moment adversity hits, they crumble. They look in the mirror, see their fit body, and wonder, what's wrong? What's wrong is their mind is still soft as hell. You see, when something takes you months, even years to conquer, and you keep slamming your head against the wall trying to get over that hump, that's where the magic happens, man. You keep going back to the drawing board, you keep grinding, and eventually you figure it out. And those few seconds after you finally crack the code, after you succeed, it's the most incredible feeling. But you don't get that feeling without failing first, man. I failed over and over. Failed this equation, failed that one, failed again, and then one day, boom, I figured it out. You start to feel that success coming even before you reach it, even before you hit that finish line. And when you do, the feeling is like nothing else. You take that victory, that success born from failure, and you stash it in your cookie jar. You know you're gonna need to pull that out again somewhere down the line when life gets tough. But let me tell you what I'm most scared of losing is my mind, my mindset. The way I see myself, the way I focus, the way I drive myself into the ground and pull myself out of it. Those headphones we listen to, those phones we Google for answers, they're not gonna save you when shit hits the fan. They're not gonna get you out of the real situations life throws at you, man. Every time I set out to do something, whether it was Navy SEAL training or anything else, I knew I was staring failure in the face. I failed SEAL training 3 times before I made it. But what I learned from those failures is priceless. You know that feeling you get when you watch a movie and the hero keeps getting knocked down but eventually rises up and wins? That's how I want to feel. But in real life, I'm the damn movie. If you're still holding on to something someone did to you years ago, you're not grinding hard enough. You're being weak, man. Letting that shit own you instead of getting out there and squeezing every ounce of your soul every single day. If you're truly grinding, you don't have time to worry about what someone else did to you. You don't have time to sit and stew over past bullshit. Because tomorrow the grind calls again. And the day after that, and the day after that, and so on until the day you die. Look, man, I don't waste time putting you in the hate bank. Hate? That's weak stuff. I've burned it all away in the grind. Most people don't understand this, but there's a raw joy in grinding, in embracing the suffering. The pain purges you of any hate, cleanses you, and forces you to grow the hell up. That's where I'm at today. When you hit that point, you find a peace that lasts. But let me tell you something, greatness isn't about running 200 miles, doing 4,000 push-ups, or being a SEAL. Greatness is whatever the hell you set your mind to. You've got to see it first, man. You've got to create that vision in your mind. And that's where the battle starts. Once you've got that vision, it's all about how you're going to grind to get there. Every single one of us has greatness inside, no matter what you've been through, whether you think you're dumb, fat, or whether you've been bullied, or just got back from a war zone missing limbs. Greatness is in there. You've just got to find the courage to dig it out. You've got to find the guts to put on your headphones, block out all the noise, and figure out what makes you different from the rest. That's the key. The mind is your biggest enemy. It knows your fears, your insecurities, and it's always ready to use them against you. I want to quit every damn day, but you know what, man? Dreams die in suffering. Many of us out here have suffered, and I'm not just talking physically. I'm talking emotionally, spiritually, in every way. Whether it's a relationship or something else, when you're in pain, you're tempted to give up on what you want most. I wanted to be a pararescue man more than anything, but that water terrorized me. When the suffering became too much, my dream died, and a part of me died with it. If I hadn't found the Navy SEALs and faced down my demons every single day, I wouldn't be standing here today. You can't outrun your demons. They'll always find you, no matter where you hide. So don't stop when you're tired, stop when you're done. I spent my whole life searching for strength because I had none. I was a weak man, a scared kid getting beat down by my dad. He took everything from me. Yeah, I was strong on the outside, but inside I was terrified. Every man wants courage and strength. I sure as hell did. So I found it by any means necessary. I'd see a strong guy and think maybe he can teach me something, but nobody knew what I was going through. I left school with that guy's image stuck in my head. We suffer every damn day because that's what we do. We do stuff that sucks so that when real suffering comes, we're ready. That's how I built this life, by embracing discomfort until it became just another part of me. Here's the truth. I saw myself as the weakest person God ever created. But I never pointed the finger at God for it. I didn't blame anyone. I decided that I was going to flip the script and become the hardest man ever made. Am I there yet? Who knows? But I had to have a goal. And when I was that kid getting bullied, skipping school, and drowning in low self-esteem, I knew that the only person who could turn things around was me. And the only way to do that was to put myself through hell, the worst things a human can endure. That's how I built a mind strong enough to handle anything life threw at me. You want to know how to get mentally tough? You've got to callous your mind through pain and suffering. It's a lifestyle. Instead of hitting the snooze button and slacking off, you get up. You get up. You don't feel like running? You go run, don't want to swim? You hit the water, don't want to make your bed, you make it anyway. Don't want to study? You hit the books. That's how you start building that callus on your mind. Man, it's going to suck. It's not going to be fun. But you've got to do something that sucks every single day. That's how you grow. The only way you're going to reach the other side of this journey is by suffering. Growth demands pain, and not everyone gets that, but they've got to figure out their own path to start their journey. Look, man, some people live to be 100 and have it easy, but motivation, that's garbage. It fades with your feelings. I wanted you to go home after you beat the living hell out of me and think about how I smiled right in your face. I wanted you to feel worse than I did, knowing that while you were going home to a cozy bed, I was still out there in the grit, suffering for another 100 hours. I wanted you to remember how much you wanted to quit during Hell Week and how I wasn't thinking like that at all. The dark side, that's my creation. It's a place I go where very few things can hurt me. It's where I'm comfortable being uncomfortable. And that's the difference.